Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in the second portion of this afternoon. It has 3 acts. We are in the second act. And as you know, the entire problematic of the Global Forum was built upon the discussions which took place during the regional fora, which were organized in the past, literally in the past 2 years, in various regions and sub-regions of the world. As you know, each region has its peculiarities, its history, its geographical connotations, and a lot of differences emerged during the regional fora, but also we were quite surprised to see how many commonalities there were, which then helped us to consolidate the thinking concerning the regional forum, the global forum. Without further ado, because we want to give the opportunities to each of the ministers present here to present the conclusion of their respective fora, it is my pleasure to welcome His Excellency Mr. Park Myung-jo, Minister of Government Administration and Home Affairs of the Republic of Korea, on behalf of the Regional Forum on Reinventing Government in Asia, which took place in Seoul in September of 2006. Minister Park.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson, Dr. Guido Bertucci. First, I would like to express my profound gratitude to the UN staff members here in Vienna for the assiduous preparation of the 7th Global Forum. On behalf of the Korean government and as a representative of the region of Asia, I feel immensely honored to have this occasion to make a presentation on the findings of the Regional Forum in Asia. I'm especially honored to be the first speaker of this session. I believe this means that Asia should be the pioneer as well as the model for reinventing governments. The Regional Forum on Reinventing Governments in Asia was held in Seoul last year. Over the course of 2 days, from 6 to 8 September, on the topic of building trust in governments, innovations to improve governance. The forum was organized by the United Nations Departments of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, in partnership with the Ministry of Government Administration and Home Affairs, MOGAHA, of the Republic of Korea, as well as the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, and the United Nations Governance Center, UNGC. Over 100 participants from 21 countries across Asia attended this important gathering, including ministers, vice ministers, ambassadors, parliamentarians, researchers, and academic experts from various institutions. The forum consisted of plenary sessions and 3 sub-regional working groups representing South Asia, Southeast Asia, and Northeast Asia, where 4 strategic topics were explored. The 4 topics of the forum included public sector capacity and innovations, building trust for service delivery and access, accountability, transparency, and e-government, and decentralization and local governance. Now, the underlying questions and the challenges raised during the forum can be summarized into the following 4 principal points. The first significant point of the concern was the low degree of state capacity to implement reforms in many Asian countries. This is to say that despite the high degree of emphasis put on reforms within the region, the level of the actual capacity to carry out reforms is low in many cases, leading to the hollowing out of the state. This situation had produced a great degree of the fragmentation and complexity in terms of government policies, while weakening the power of the executive branch. Despite the awareness of the importance of the reforms, many countries within the region are not fully equipped with the actual capacity to respond to citizen demands. Let's now move on to the second point. Now, the second point dealt with a problem related to a rather structural challenge. That is, with the process of globalization, the spread of information and communication technologies, market liberalization, and the trend toward democratization, there has been a corresponding upsurge in citizen expectations for the role of the state in Asia. But this increase in expectations has not always been met by corresponding improvements in service provision, increase in access to services, or the empowerment of civil society. This discrepancy between expectation and reality, as many participants felt, is considered to be a crucial factor explaining the declining level of trust in government. Even though the mix of services provided by governments has changed significantly, citizens still expect that their governments will help to establish a level playing field in terms of access to services related to justice, education, food, employment, etc. And that they will also be responsible for sending the right signals to domestic market and socio-economic actors to establish a dynamic comparative advantage when necessary. Recent decline in trust has therefore raised the questions as to whether or not there has been a failure in the political market. The next point raised was the issue of electronic government. Now, e-government measures for the incorporation of information and communication technologies have demonstrated tremendously positive potential in the area of public sector innovation. However, speakers at the regional forum emphasized that the effectiveness of e-government initiatives requires medium to long-term planning. While the driving force or the propelling demand should come from the bottom, this must accompany an effective central coordination in order to have the practical fruition. In the long term, the success of e-government efforts depends on the extent to which there is an effective government leadership and a viable national development strategy. Finally, the last point raised was the issue of the decentralization. In practice overall, the level of the implementation of decentralization initiatives has been regrettably quite limited. What specific measures must be taken in order to change the situation? To this challenge, the participants of the regional forum suggested the following measures: the upscaling of best practices, building networks, establishing good database, establishing a good monitoring system, a shift of step loyalty to local bodies, integration of rural and urban planning, and effective coordination between national and local governments. Now, my presentation so far has dealt with different diagnoses, if you will, of the state of the government in Asia. What naturally must follow, of course, are the proper prescriptions. The contributing participants of the regional forum provided the following major suggestions and guidance